IAS, retired, is Advisor Education Srinivasan Services Trust. Mr. Suniti Bhatt, Managing Director, Sale and Exploration Technology Limited, and Mr. Surit Pathasarthi, Advocate and Policy Commentator. May I request all three of you to come on to the dais, please. Yaar dida. Yaar. Students, stay back. You're not to go now. We have on this session going. Even if you go now, there's no lunch served for you. Please settle down now. Just one more session and then you all can break. Unless I tell them there, they won't serve you lunch. So just keep sitting here. Let's welcome them with a round of applause. The three guest speakers for the next session. May I have their AV, please.
Dr. R. Palanisamy, IAS retired, is a highly accomplished and dedicated civil servant with 33 years of distinguished government service. With a strong educational background in physics, education and law, he has held various key administrative positions both in the IAS cadre and school education service. Notably, as the State Election Commissioner, he successfully conducted rural local body elections across 27 districts. His numerous awards and recognitions reflect his exceptional contributions to public service and his commitment to excellence. His leadership, expertise and dedication have made a lasting impact on the administration and governance of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Suniti Kumar Bhatt is the founder and director of Anti-Lopus Energy Private Limited. He had served as the Chief Operating Officer and Member Executive Committee at Kane Oil and Gas. He has extensive experience in exploration, development and production operations of all assets and has successfully led the implementation of the world's largest polymer flooding project. He has completed a general management program from Harvard Business School, Masters in Petroleum Engineering from Stanford University, and has a BE Honours in Chemical Engineering from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Mr. Surit Pathasarthi is a practicing advocate at the Madras High Court. He is a regular contributor to the op-ed pages of The Hindu and has also published articles in a number of other dailies and magazines, including the Caravan Magazine, the Open Magazine, the Indian Express, the New Yorker, the New York Times, and the Economic and Political Weekly.
It's indeed a pleasure having all three of you with us for this session this afternoon. I'm told that Mr. Surit Pathasarthi has got a commitment and he has to leave. So with the permission of the other two speakers, I'll invite him to present his case first and then, yeah, please come, sir.
Presentation. 10 minutes. Very good afternoon to everyone, to the members of the Madras Management Association and Mr. Ilango in particular. Thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be here and a privilege to be addressing all of you today. The topic for the session today in some ways I think transcends the traditional boundaries of management. In many ways the theme itself for today's conference transcends those traditional boundaries in the sense that the idea for innovating for sustainable growth, the idea of ensuring equal access, and of course the topic for the session, the present session, that is the idea of putting our planet first. These are in many ways interlinked with each other. So as I stand before all of you today as, the future leaders of our country's businesses, what I wish to do is to discuss very briefly, of course, we have only about 10 to 15 minutes each, sort of the urgent need for corporations and for businesses to be eco-conscious. And with respect to that urgent need, what I'd like to focus on is the sort of legal and ethical standpoint of this, and I'll try and bring my own experience as a practicing lawyer in our courts into this. I think all of us are quite clear, and I think all of us know this, that there's this looming shadow of global warming and the fact that climate change is a reality today, and it has an unquestionably devastating impact worldwide. And I think as students of management, we need to be equally conscious of this as any other person in the world today. And studies have shown us that the real effect and impact of climate change could have as much as, could cost India up to 2.8% of its GDP. It could altogether depress our living standards, of nearly half our population by the year 2050. So I think we can't really emphasize enough the urgency of all of this. It is in many ways the future of our species itself, which is at stake, and the future of our children, which is also at stake. I think from a legal standpoint, we know that the Constitution of India, which was, drafted way back in 1950, which came into force in 1950, was in some ways quite prescient, right? You have Article 48A of the Constitution, which mandates that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment. So right from the outset, in many ways, the Constitution of India, predates some of the more latter documents that have come over the course of the last 10 or 20 years, when we've become increasingly aware of these dangers to our planet. In that, right from the outset, it placed emphasis on protecting the environment. And since then, with change, we've had a number of different legislations that have come into force. You have the Water Act, the Air Act, the Environmental Protection Act, and several others, each of which seeks to broadly ensure that industries operate in a manner that is environmentally sustainable. Apart from these legislation, you've had sort of interference from the courts. We've all heard of public interest litigations. And we've had the Supreme Court and the various different high courts intervene in disputes between the state and between businesses and between individuals and businesses to sort of broadly ensure that sustainable development remains the goal of the country. But I think what is regrettable at some levels in the approach of the courts is that there has been this broad sort of scale where the court has tended to place interests of businesses first over and above the idea of sustainable development, and the interests of possibly the poorest amongst us at the bottom rung. And that needs to change. And in trying to bring about that change, I think businesses and all of you as future leaders of businesses have quite an important role to play. Now, so when we shift from sort of the black and white of the legal texts to the rather more gray realm of ethics, I think what we all need to remember ultimately is that as managers and business leaders, businesses aren't just sort of economic entities. They are societal entities as well. And we saw even in the previous session the various stories that were narrated, which sort of emphasized on why we need to kind of look at ourselves as individuals, as human beings first, and respect and place respect on other individuals as human beings. So the corporate ethos, I think, should in some senses transcend mere interests of profits and emphasize and place emphasis on adding value to the society and planet. Now we've had, ultimately, as sort of David Attenborough has said, our planet is a world and we're all its citizens. So we must all cooperate and make sure that we leave it in a condition that ensures that future generations enjoy it as we have. So some of the environmental concerns today, they might seem daunting to us, but I think they also present businesses with an opportunity, right? I mean, I did, just in the previous sentence say that we mustn't look at everything from the perspective of profits. But at the same time, we must look at it from the perspective of opportunities. Because a shift towards sustainability, and in terms of innovating, I think the first session today was on techno innovations. A shift towards sustainability doesn't just mitigate risks, it also opens doors in many ways. We've had an increasing demand for green products, sustainable supply chains, and ethical practices, and all of this is growing globally. So when we look to find innovative solutions to environmental concerns, businesses don't just ensure compliance with the laws and with sort of broad ethical practices, but they can also carve out new and profitable niches and ensure that they cement their own brands in an increasingly environmentally conscious world. So ethical standards today have really evolved significantly. They transcend mere profit making to encompass a much broader responsibility towards various different stakeholders, the environment and society at large. So in a sense, I think we need to increasingly see businesses as custodians of the planet's future. Their ethical standards and actions, I think, will play a crucial role in shaping the world of tomorrow. And we must see technology not just as a tool for efficiency. We've all, I think, as students of management, you learn about these various principles of efficiency, etc. But I think increasingly you have to look beyond efficiency and also look at responsibilities, because we all owe responsibilities towards the planet and its inhabitants. So then there has to be some broad nexus that we arrive at between business ethics and technological solutions and trying to arrive at a more sustainable and inclusive future. Now, from there, to just sort of very briefly come back to the realm of the legal framework in India. Now, we know that there are a number of penalties that one is susceptible to, as I mentioned, under those various different legislations when we don't follow some of the standards that have been set. But it's equally important also to think about the incentives that are offered. And the laws do offer many different incentives for businesses that provide energy solutions or provide energy compliant solutions. You have subsidies, you have a national mission for enhanced energy efficiency. So we must also always look towards the law to see what benefits the law offers us and try and take advantage of those benefits to the extent possible, because that will on the one hand drive profits, but at the same time also ensure a more sustainable planet for the future. Now, ultimately also what we must bear in mind is that sustainable businesses enjoy better reputations, which in turn can lead to better relationships with regulators, allow us to get quicker clearances, and even ensure waivers in certain duties and taxes. So it's all a win-win, and we have to try and see if we can, on the one hand, ensure that we're eco-conscious and at the same time ensure that our businesses grow. So really, in conclusion, what I'd like to say is that as future leaders of India's business landscape, you have this great opportunity, and I might even say a responsibility to set a really good precedent where you can run businesses by looking not just at the next quarter or at the financial results for the next financial year, but at the next generation. And businesses shouldn't just be about boosting stock prices, but also looking at the health of our planet. And I think ultimately we can look towards our constitution for inspiration in this regard. Because our constitution in its preamble itself speaks about liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now, these ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, they might sound like abstract ideas. But ultimately, these ideals can only be met if we are all environmentally conscious, because climate change and global warming will only drive inequality. As I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, there's already studies which show that half our population might suffer serious consequences as a result of climate change by 2050. So it will only make really the world a much more unequal place, and even more unequal than it already is. So the choices that we make in our boardrooms today, in the markets today, will have a bearing not just in the next financial quarter, but over the course of the next 30 to 50 years. So I think we all need to think very deeply and in a very critical manner about the decisions that we make in the boardrooms, because it will have a bearing on the air we breathe, on the water we drink, to the soil that feeds us. So I think ultimately it's about the legacy that we leave behind, and we must all ask ourselves, what kind of legacy do we wish to leave behind, and try and answer that question as we move forward. Thank you very much.
I now request Mr. Ilango to present a memento of Mr. Surit, as he has to leave due to some prior commitment. Immediately after that, I'll request Mr. Periyasamy to. May I request you, both of you, also to join him on stage, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give him a wonderful applause because so nicely is connected the preamble of the Constitution to sustainability, and it was a different perspective overall. Thank you so much, Mr. Surat, for making it here despite your busy commitment. May I now invite Dr. R. Palani IAS to share his perspectives, please. Yeah, sure.
How to move?
Yeah.
Oh, it's already, then it's not an issue.
It's already here. You can use this.
Like moving this way.
You can just press this and move it. Vinod?
Actually,
Vinod, may I have you here? Vinod?
good afternoon to all. We are moving from stories of leaders to legal entity to a NGO, which really, which one, sir? This one, forward.
Arvind, can somebody just come here and...
Which one, first one? Yeah, I will start. Good afternoon to all. First slide, sir. Yeah, every move. Mr. Suniti Dutt, Managing Director, Saline Exploration Technology. Yeah.
Next year back.
Oh, thank you. President and other members of MME, head and senior faculty members of all educational institutions and other business schools. I am really happy to associate myself with the program. I am representing SST, Srinivasan Service Trust. We want to share few of our program, what we are implementing in SST. This picture represent our activities and relevance to our topic. Business that has successfully integrated eco-conscious strategies into their operations. That is how we are coordinating or collaborating with our activities with relevant topic. First left side picture represents our activities as NGO. TVS factory site, Osur, biodiversity forest that preserves 442 plants and 292 animals in the reserve forest. Second one is Tiger Reserve Forest at Nagargoli, Karnataka, giving importance to eco-biology diversity, coordinating and complementing the efforts of government to safeguard nature, that is giving back to the society. Third, that is left bottom, desilted channel at Sirhali district, Sirhali, Mailadurai district of Tamil Nadu, increasing the agricultural products and in turn leads to farmers' income. Fourth one, that is not only we are moving towards reduction of waste, it's waste to wealth. Yes, from banana fiber, river grass and fall leaf product to ladies' bag, other products, and creating a platform for their selling through marketability through Truly Cottage. This is, I will try to complete within 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, an SST, that is Srinivasan Service Trust. It's a CSC arm of TVS Motor Company, being eco-conscious and all aspects of business and community service. Our initiatives in water conservation, wildlife conservation, afforestation, and waste to wealth only I am going to discuss in this. As an NGO, what we are doing. TVS Motor Company is driven by values that have kept environment at the core of its operation As I already explained, in 330 acres, our manufacturing factory at Hosur, over 50 acres is dedicated to a biodiversity forest that houses 442 species of plants and 292 animals. It's seen in the first slide also. As a trust, SST is a social arm of the company. We have 27 years of experience in water conservation, wildlife conservation, afforestation in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka also. We are more particular that TVS group of companies are centered around environmentally conscious and giving back more to nature and society than taking from it. TVS is committed to provide that every TVS consumers spend about ₹1 and the customer should feel that they had received 25% extra values. That is 125% of their spending. That is our objective. You can see this, our mission to be partner in the transformation of rural communities by empowering people to achieve sustainable development through mission. To take our model empowerment, become sustainable and self-reliance. You can see the smiling faces of the rural family by adopting technology through our SST. Yeah, this is our, ultimately we want to achieve that social cohesion through women empowerment, agriculture and livestock, infrastructure, water conservation and environment. This is our journey. We started in 1996 in a simple way. Initially with focus on repair and renovation of buildings, subsequently moved into formation of self-help group, then holistic development of village working in multiple focus area, then community participation, then moving to remote and tribal village communities, especially we work in Nilgiris and Javadu Hills in Tiruvannamalai. Water taken up as a major thrust area in 2017 and 20. During COVID period, we purchased essential medical equipment. Even in fact, we imported and supplied to all government hospitals. From 1996 started in a simple way. Now we reached a stage that after SST renovation or any work with the community participation, we ensure that further maintenance and upkeep of the infrastructure we created or renovated should be maintained by community by their participation and contribution of 50%. Our 400 field staff live in the village. They used to mingle with the community and act as a part of the community also. Then our impact is being measured by external agency like Institute of Rural IRMA, Anand. As per their studies also, Padavedu village has seen 141% of growth with our intervention, whereas nearby Kalasapadi block without our intervention seen only 38%. That shows that our intervention, because of our SST, TVS intervention, 3 times more than normal growth. That's what, that is also by a private third-party agency. Then water conservative initiative, desilting of water bodies, construction and renovation of check dams, renovation of irrigation tanks, creation of watershed and farm ponds. Totally we have desilted about 350 water bodies. Then 150 crore liters storage capacity increase. Through NABARD also, collaboration with NABARD, we created 19 check dams and 120 farm ponds. Total investment in this sector alone, 400 lakhs in the last 5 years. Working with the community, our field workers stay in village and through PRI village committee discussion, we assess the need and priority. With the community participation and involvement only, we undertake all related work. This is mere where we did our program based on our clusters. These are all a few glimpses of our what we have done in water conservation. This is also desilting of river. Yeah, we select these villages through geoinformatics center mapping with the help of expert in the particular area. SST already planned to invest about 10 crores in this sector also. This is also another impact study, Center for Water Resource, Anna University. From this also you have seen that how water levels improved in various districts. Thiruvannamalai district improved by 22 feet. The increase in gross product value ranges from 6 to 18%. Cultivation of area also increased. Then this is another initiative, that is wildlife conservative. This is our efforts in wildlife conservation, invested about 2 crores in 6 tiger reserves in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. We have supplied various essential items like torches, binoculars, GPS devices in Satyamangalam Tiger Reserves, BRT Tiger Reserve in Karnataka, Mudumalai, and one more also. Then afforestation initiative. This is in Sandavasal Reserve Forest, Padavedu, covering 140 hectares and planted 70,000 plants. Every year we plant about more than like trees. This is another area, that is waste to wealth. Rural women trying to make useful products from waste to wealth, from banana fiber, river grass, palm leaves to beautiful handicraft items. Once they produce these kind of products, marketing is their concern. SST organized Truly Cottage. It's a platform for selling their product. Through this, we can avoid plastic usage. Waste to wealth, income generation to women. So with this, I will try to conclude. One or two suggestions. Yes, future leaders, try to have your own wing of implementing all kind of activities that is, related to CSR, so that you can have your own ideas properly implemented. Thank you very much. Should I close? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. What a phenomenal work the trust is doing. May I now invite Mr. Suniti Bhatt to come and share his views, please. Yeah. Want to have a hand mic or?
I know it's an afternoon, so good afternoon to all of you. I am also aware of the fact that I am standing between lunch and you guys. You guys must be hungry by now. Look, I don't have any presentation that I want to share with you. I think when Ilango called me for this, I accepted to come across because I could never say no to Ilango. I thought it would be a panel session whereby somebody would ask questions and in my normal style, I will wing answers. So in the morning, I came to know that I had to speak for 15 minutes on something. So in my car journey here, I tried to scribble down some notes. hopefully they will be of some use to you. What I tried to keep in mind was the topic of the theme was eco-consciousness, right? Saving the planet. And I come from fossil fuel industry. Sort of a little bit of contradiction. Okay, what are we going to talk about as somebody who has for 30 years only done fossil fuel in terms of certain strategies which are eco-conscious or putting the planet first. I think we will touch on that, I promise you, couple, and you will see the relevance of that. But I think I also want to leave next 10 to 15 minutes that I have you with, I thought, if I was sitting on the other side of this hall, when I was there, it's many years ago, I did sit on the other side of the hall, what a couple of things I would have liked somebody standing on this side, on the desk, tell me, which probably would have been of some use to me. I think one of the things that I can tell you that came to me just now, this should be also your training of listening patiently to whatever we are saying, because believe me, in your lives, as you will run organizations, you will need to listen patiently to things that you may or may not be interested in. And because somewhere in things that you might not be interested in, you do pick up things that will take you further away in your careers. I think that's important. No matter what is given to you, you heard the previous panel speak about the passion. I think that is going to be big part of what you do, whether it is doing a simple job like photocopying or cyclostyling, as we heard, or it is sitting in the chair of an MD or CEO and making corporate decisions. I think passion is what will differentiate people in this room from each other as you will go professionally. I think, look, in the morning, we all, I think nobody in this room or any room would say that they do not like the planet that we live on. We all love the planet that we live on. We want to leave the planet a better place for our children, for future generations. I think the only difference that comes in is what is the definition of that better, and how do we define the family that we want to leave it better for. So you could take a very narrow view. You could take a narrow view of that. When I want to make it better, it is better for me, my kids, my wife, or it includes some of my relatives, or it includes my shareholders, or it includes my city, or you could take a very broader view that includes everybody that lives on the planet, and you could include humans, or we just heard some time back, it could be all living life, right? So it is up to us. But the important thing is, what do we do about it? And that is where the strategy piece comes in. Strategy is always about making choices. It is about deciding what to do and what not to do. There was an important, interesting news piece that I read today morning. It was about Bhutan. So we all talk about net zero by 2050, 2030. Some people want 2030. Some of us would probably want 2025, right? Some people are saying 2050 is what India is saying. Some people are saying it will be longer. But here is one country that is already not net zero. It is net negative. Bhutan actually is the only country in the world which is emitting less carbon footprint than it is absorbing, primarily because of large forest cover that will help in it. So the choices that were typically, if I was in a boardroom, I was running like that, okay, I have already met my target. I am actually exceeding my target, so this is not my problem to deal with. But here, Bhutan does something completely different. Bhutan says, I will still commit to a net CO2 reduction target in terms of emissions, in terms of how I will consume energy, in terms of how I will drive my tourism up. For someone, as an entity, they don't need to do it. They're already net negative because they're increasing the radius of what they think is their sphere of influence. So for all of you guys, it is always going to be about your perception of what your sphere of influence is. If you walk into a place, you are as a part of a team, and you come to a conclusion that my job is only to do my piece of work, this is what I will do, this is my target, this was my KPI, I have done it, you probably will rise in the organization, but you will rise to a particular point. But if you are someone who will go beyond that, this is my my limit, I was supposed to do 3 of these things, you will actually say, okay, what is it that the person who is sitting in this room is giving us tasks? What is it that he or she is trying to solve? Do I understand the broader picture? Can I do a little bit more than is being asked of me? That will be the differentiating thing for you guys as you will go forward. I think in the oil and gas industry also, while we like to be beaten on it, there are a lot of things that we are also trying to do. I think from an India perspective, I think we need to go from oil towards natural gas and eventually towards, I bet on hydrogen more than electric cars. That's because that's me, it's just my personal bet. Because hydrogen, unlike electricity, I think as you will start understanding the energy consumption patterns and how energy is consumed across the globe, we realize that the biggest challenge that we will have in boards across the globe, not just oil and gas companies, but utility companies, is how do you store energy? Because storing energy is the biggest thing. I think many of you who look at electric vehicles understand the battery revolution. That is changing. But hydrogen is still a sub-commercial thing. But you can see there's a lot of noise going on in the ecosystem around hydrogen. And I think that's going to pick up for India as well. So if you are in a boardroom or you are being called for a meeting and suddenly they talk about hydrogen, how well prepared are you on a topic that doesn't interest you, that you have never heard about? It is going to be passion we talked about. I mean, I will always get things back to what it means to you rather than what it means to me, right? Passion we talked about, but it is going to be always about your awareness of what is going on around you. What are the new things? What matters? What doesn't matter? Back to some decisions that you will take on personal space. In your personal capacity, do I do this? Do I learn about this? Do I not learn about this? These are the things that will drive in terms of your growth as you will go within the organization. I think oil companies are also doing a lot in terms of what we want to do. I think we're talking about reducing native emissions. I mean, everybody is pushing in solar in their palms, you heard. So a lot of green things. We all do CSR. But at the end of the day, it is people like you who are in various places within this organization, and you guys will make a way that you understand the choices that you are making, the choices that are presented to you, and also come up with more choices so that we can actually probably get to a better place in 50 years than we are today. With that, I just want to wrap up, and I don't know if there are any questions, I'm happy to take it, but thank you very much for being patient. Okay. Okay, there are some questions, so we will hear. Yes.
Please, sir, you can answer.
Okay. All right, I'm going to read. I'm going to try my best to read it. Can you share an example of specific eco-conscious initiatives of technology that Ceylon Exploration Technology Limited has implemented to reduce its environmental impact in the oil and gas industry? I can't read the name of the person who has given the question, but okay. Look, we have been running, at least I have been running Ceylon for around 15 months. So one of the big initiatives we are trying to put in is fundamentally making sure all the oil and gas, when we produce oil and gas, some of the gas also gets released to the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas. So one of the big initiatives we are trying to, current technology initiative we are trying to do is basically piping all the captive natural gas into consumption rather than putting it into the atmosphere. The second thing we are trying is around hydrogen. So we are also trying to do some green hydrogen pilots so that we can actually see that can we eventually replace natural gas with hydrogen.
Good afternoon. For me, what advice you give for students aspiring to lead the organization adopting more environmental? My suggestion, this is being asked by Aravind Coimbatore. Actually, any organization, ultimately, whatever you get from the society, you try to return more. That's what CSR activity, expect. As an organization and future leader, My suggestion is from the beginning, you try to frame the policies in such a way that always, you try to protect environment and mother planet, number one. Number two, try to have your own policy wing or CSR wing. Once you grow, your organization will also grow along with that wing also. That will give more protection and safeguarding measures for the planet. Thank you. Anything else?
So thanks, Dr. Palanisamy and Mr. Suniti Bhatt. That was a fantastic session. May I request Mr. Senthilnathan, who's our Pondicherry chapter chairman and managing director of Tanfac Industries, to join us on the dais to honor the guest speakers, along with Mr. P. Ilango also. Yeah, I don't think we are so hungry that we can't clap for these speakers. Let's give them a, yeah, that's great. So they have taken their time off to be here with us and, share their valuable insights. Thank you very much. Thanks, students. Now we break for lunch, and as you are aware, we have to reassemble here at 2:15 for an exciting session. We have the grand finale of the Chanakya, the mastermind. Don't miss it. So 2:15, please come back. I'm sure there is enough time for all of you to have lunch. There are more than enough counters to serve you lunch there. Just go, please carry your bags. I don't want anybody bag being missing from here. Please carry your bags, have lunch and come back quickly. Let's reassemble at about 2:10. Yeah, thank you.